Welcome to the live stream. Hope you enjoy being here. It's your boy, the soft-spoken shaman. I'm over here taking a little break from running around buying materials, doing what I do. First things first, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button. Everybody knows I'm a little elusive these days with when I'm going live and when I'm doing this. Kind of whenever I can fit it in, that's what she said. So that's what it is. Topic of the stream is something I was going to talk about a while ago, but kind of change it up a little bit. So, and before I forget, thesoftspokenshaman@gmail.com is the place to email me if you want to do things like check out my books. If you want to consult, contact me with any requests or whatnot, that's the place to do that. Anyways, so everybody settles, you will too. You probably think I'm going to be talking about a certain topic, settling in some sense, but, and that's true too, but what I'm actually talking about is a lot of people are familiar with, what went on TikTok a couple days ago, with the tariffs setting in and all that stuff. And basically there was a barrage, at the behest of the Chinese Communist Party to have all their wholesalers make viral videos on TikTok regarding showing Americans how they're getting screwed over in terms of overpaying for products, and basically China's saying, hey, you can cut out the middleman. You can cut out Versace, Gucci, Hermes, you cut out all these middlemen. The products are not made in their fashion houses, in their ateliers, if you're French. They're made in Guangdong, in Shenzhou, and all these places in China, And so it's that pivotal moment in capitalism where the workers are finally, meaning debt slaves in the United States, are finally seeing that everything's a scam. The whole system's a scam. I mean, anybody with half of a pulse and the ability to fog a corner of a mirror already knows this. But we also know that most Americans are pretty dumb, probably including most of you. Maybe not. I don't know. But so there's that. And so a lot of people are talking about how a lot of these fashion houses are going to go out of business. Or either go out of business or lose a lot of market share or be open to class action lawsuits and stuff like that. Basically they're going to get hit hard economically. But that's not the only thing that's about to get hit hard economically. You see, it's not just fashion. It's not just, corporations in the U.S. that are going to, be on their toes now trying to cater to the public again and go, oh, no, China's lying, blah, 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 blah. And they're going to fail at that, of course. It's other things that you wouldn't think of, like the rap game. The rap game is about to get fucked hard. Because think about it. The game has always been fake it till you make it. Ever since, Biggie Smalls and Puff Daddy, fake it till you make it. Pretend like you got it when you don't really have it. Rent the mansion, rent the fancy cars. And then the album sales start popping off, We all know that's how the game's played. Well, for the, the past 15 years at least, Rick Ross, Drake, all these big artists are always talking about name brands, Versace, Gucci, Maybach music, Bentley, Range Rover, Ferrari, right? And now people are starting to go, well, hey, dude, you're rapping to me about your Dolce & Gabbana sunglasses, acting like you're a real G, you're a real PIMP because you paid 15 racks for those things when they're made in China for, I don't know, $90 maybe, less, And so a lot of these guys are going to end up looking like stooges and clowns to the masses now. So they're going to have to come up with a different game. I remember when Cardi B came out, I said, oh, that's so funny. The American public's so stupid. Cardi B, Bacardi. Cardi B, Bacardi. Cardi B, Bacardi. And I'm sure, she never advertised Bacardi, but I'm sure on the back end she was getting paid by Bacardi. Like, hey, let's blow Cardi B up. And subliminally, people are going to want to drink Bacardi. You know what I mean? There was a rapper recently who got arrested for his second murder. Lil Tay or Tay K or something like that. I'm like, man, Tay K probably getting money on the slide from Tanqueray, Tanqueray's probably paying this guy, behind closed doors or whatever. But the rap game is going to be crippled, or it's going to have to change. It's going to have to either turn more into like the conscious rap sort of thing, the most popular example being Kendrick Lamar. Of course, on the, other, the less mainstream end of things. There's Contra Costa, there's Benny the Butcher, there's, blah, 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 all these guys. So there's either going to have to be a shift in the mainstream, because even the public's getting sick of it, and that's the thing. Rap really took off. That sort of materialistic rap really took off when 0% interest rates became a thing, in the early 2000s. But the problem with rap is this: when recessions hit in real bad, or even depressions or whatever, people don't want to hear about you flossing about the expensive stuff you have. See, that works very well when all the public are making money. When the money printer machine's going, when the debt is being issued, that's when the public want to hear about, picture me rolling in my on Fofos in my 66 Impala or whatever. That's when the public want to hear that stuff. The public don't want to hear that stuff when they're eating ramen, when they're getting down to doing laundry once a month and, wearing the same pair of socks 4 days in a row, because they don't want to spend the money on water or whatever. It doesn't work that well. So we're going to see some differences in the rap game for sure. And I don't necessarily mean it's going to happen right away or even this year, but the public will switch up and they will change, and they'll say, hey, look, we don't want to hear about this crap. I don't want to hear about your, 6x6 Jeep Gladiator Armageddon that costs $258,000. I don't care. We don't care. The people don't care. And so what does that leave rappers? That leaves rappers with, again, conscious rap. And I don't think they're going to go that direction. Or it'll lead rap down a pipeline to like a neo soul, neo R&B type of revival, which I think is probably a little bit more of a possibility, more of a probability. But it's just an example. Using the rap game, it's one thing that's going to change with all this, China, peeling the wool off of people's eyes as to the reality of things economically. A lot of things are going to be switching up. It's not just going to be music. It's going to be art. We all know the art game. Jeff Koons is one of the most famous examples of selling bullshit. Damien Hirst selling bullshit. Even 75 years ago, Jackson Pollock selling bullshit for retarded prices, And so all these industries are going to implode, and I remember, the hustle for the past 10, 15 years was kind of like you can buy, fractional gold pieces on a subscription basis. Well, they had a thing, I forget what the company was called, where you can buy into pieces of art on a subscription basis. And of course, you're not making no money doing that. The whole grift was, you're dollar cost averaging into art, and only rich people invest in art, whatever. I mean, you're going to see a lot of these things tanking. I remember the last recession in 2008, 2009, watching all kind of like the bougie restaurants and lounges and bars in Philadelphia and New York City go under immediately because nobody wanted to pay $25 for a freaking martini or a Cosmopolitan. Nobody wanted to pay that for a mixed drink. And that was back then in 2008 where, a dollar is what, like $1.50 would be today, or $2 would be today, or the opposite way around. I don't know. I'm kind of tired. Whatever. You know what I mean? So I think that just this revelation from China, it's no revelation to intelligent people. It's just a revelation to the masses, to the Morks and the Mindies, who don't know what's going on, who are too glued to the television, too glued to the, TikTok, and too glued to, what's going on at work and all that stuff. And again, this is kind of like a Pluto in the past couple months stationing from Capricorn into Aquarius. This is very much in line with that. All the revelations, things, the way being prepped for some form of newness, is definitely what's going on here. But that's all I'm going to give you for free because, quite honestly, you don't deserve the paid stuff.